and I did a self-guided tour, which I want to either share today or at some future podcast. A new app that I found that was really interesting.
No,
Um,
let's talk about it because you sent it to me, and I thought it was very interesting also.
yeah, it's a company called MapView, and it's mapview.app is the URL. But you download the app, and then when you're in a city, and they have 2,000 different tours. I think it's in 600 or 800 cities. But when you go to a city, you can pull it up, and you'll see even before you go, and then you can see the different tours that they offer. Um, which and the tours are tours that you download to your smartphone. And so you're not with a group. You can do it at your own pace. These are walking tours. They're designed to be walking tours. And you basically, put your ear pods in and turn it on. And you can even turn your data off because once you download it, it works off the GPS. It's very affordable. The production value is really high. You're not walking around in a group with some lady holding up an umbrella that says, "I'm a tourist." You're doing it at your own pace. And as an example, you might it gives you a starting point, and then as you walk, the GPS picks up and knows where you are, and it might say, "Keep going north on Main Street." And when you come to the corner, stop. And then when you stop at the corner, it knows you're there because of the GPS recognition. And it will say, like, now look to your left at the yellow building. That is where blah, blah, blah started. Now walk 2 more blocks straight ahead, and it'll come to the next stop. So it's this kind of constant interactive tour, which I really enjoyed. I did it once in Austria, and then I went on to Madrid and did one there. But this will be the way I see cities, going forward. Um,
And you said it could be thematic too, like, could
yeah.
be, you did a tapas crawl with one of them
Yeah,
or
it
something,
was,
yeah?
yeah, so in Madrid, I did, yeah, and it wasn't so much it wasn't that type of thing. It was history with stopping at important tapas places. So in Madrid, there are
It's
a
my
lot of
kinda history.
yeah, there's a lot of, there's a lot of old restaurants that are very traditional. So the tour was really more about the history of Madrid and historical sites, although there were, like, 3 or 4 stops at, like, this one place called Tabla, I believe, and, there's, like, a line of people waiting, and if you just walk by, you'd go, "Why are these people waiting outside in the cold to get into this bar?" And it's because they sell these tapas, which were basically €1, like $1.10 or whatever, and it's a strip of this fresh cod, and it's like the most fresh cod. They bring it in the morning, and they deep fry it, and you wait 3 or 4 minutes to go through the line, and then they have a special kind of wine that you get, and it was like $2 total for the wine and the tapas. But it was, like, very historic. It'd been there, and then they talked about all the famous people that have done deals at that one, and then it took you around and went to the oldest restaurant in the world that's been, continuously operated. Yeah, it was just very neat.
Very cool. I mean, I like that a lot. I mean, both of our companies, yours and mine, we sell escorted tours, walking tours or driven tours or whatever. And there's a place for that. But I have found myself in a lot of cities where I haven't done the research and I don't really want to walk around reading a guidebook. It's kind of cool that you could just pop your headphones in and not waste time because I love getting lost. Absolutely. But it's a bit of a crapshoot. Sometimes you get lost and it's very serendipitous and you find really cool places and you have a great time. Sometimes you don't know where you're going and you wind up having wasted a few hours walking around the wrong section of
Yeah.
town and you just didn't see anything that interesting. So I like it a lot and uh I'm gonna check it out more. Maybe we'll have somebody from there on at some point and we can talk about it a little
Yeah.
bit. So what about you told us you stayed in the Marriott. And Marriott has, upped its game, I will say, especially in Europe, because, well, I usually seek out more local accommodations. I have stayed in a couple of Marriotts in historic buildings or in very interesting buildings in excellent places. So you can't write them off. You can't count them out. You just have to choose carefully, right? But there are some really good spots that Marriott has. What about restaurants? Do you find it challenging to get what's your secret? I know we've talked about this before, but what's your secret to finding that a memorable dining experience? And by memorable, I mean memorable in a good way.
Yeah. So when I'm in Europe, I use an app called The Fork, which is also owned by TripAdvisor. But it The Fork is kind of I think the go-to dining app when you go there. And they've kind of commercialized the model a little bit. So one of the things I like about the Fork is they have Michelin's rated restaurants, and you can actually say, "I'm going to be in Paris. Show me the Michelin-starred restaurants, and we'll show you those that are available." But for some of the lesser, like the one stars and even Michelin mentions, they've kind of commercialized it to the point where they go in and they broker some type of specific menu, like a prix menu at a special, some type of special discount, or at least you feel like you're getting a special discount. Maybe you aren't, but that's been a nice experience that I've done a couple of times where you get a real gourmet meal for maybe €80 or something like that.
Look, I think a lot of people have trouble in this area and wind up with mediocre restaurant experiences, if not worse, wind up in a tourist trap or in just a nondescript kind of restaurant. And Fork is a great example. My daughter turned me on to an app, Belly, Belli, that is used by a lot of younger people because it socializes the whole idea of restaurant recommendations. So not only do you put your own restaurant recommendations in and you rate the places that you've eaten, but you can link with your friends and you can see their lists and rankings also. And it's a lot of features where you can map it out. You can see where they've been and you've been and so on. But it also identifies Michelin restaurants, which is great. And not all, it's important to say this, not all Michelin restaurants are expensive, fancy restaurants. What Michelin is looking for, they sort of take each restaurant on its own terms. If you're going to be a walk in, authentic Mexican place, casual or whatever, okay. But then you better be the best authentic Mexican, and if you are, you'll get a Michelin mention or even a Michelin star. I think that's a good system to use Michelin, and any one of these apps probably a good way to help you. You can also use the concierge at a hotel you're staying at, but there, depending upon the hotel, you risk getting a recommendation where the concierge is getting a kickback, right? Being paid to recommend the place could be very touristy. But I would love to see people seek out unique dining experiences that reflect where you are and the culture there, right? And I always use as the negative example my poor father, who, was a great eater, loved food, but really loved Italian food, as an Italian man. And no matter where we were in the world, he would find an Italian restaurant. So one time we flew halfway around the world to Bangkok, and instead of eating in a Michelin starred Bangkok restaurant with beautiful Thai cuisine, we were in like Via Sorrento, some Italian restaurant in Bangkok, which, wasn't bad, but I mean, really? I have to go to Bangkok to eat Italian food? So I think you have the kind of no tourists allowed trip, that experience, if you seek out food that reflects the place you're visiting. And the way to do that is maybe through some of these apps, personal recommendations, and so on.
It's not just about having a good meal, it's about experiencing the local culture. And I would even say going to an Italian restaurant in Bangkok, you're gonna see the cultural differences of if it is an Italian running the restaurant in Bangkok, how they feel about the local area, what kind of ingredients they can get. So,
You know,
look,
there's something
we
to
spend a lot
learn.
we spend a lot of time eating, I mean, in our waking hours. So, I think it's important to take it in, and experience, different cultures and foods as much as you can.
There's something to learn from every experience, certainly. And they were very nice people, but they did not look Italian to me.